The dog waited by the backyard gate every night. Rain or frost, summer heat or heavy snow. He sat there, completely still, his nose pointed toward the gravel path, eyes scanning the distance, ears twitching at every sound. No one asked him to. No one trained him to. He just waited. It started on a Monday. The family thought nothing of it at first. Sam, their 11-year-old golden retriever, had always been a calm, predictable dog. Loyal, gentle, the kind of dog who made you feel safe just by lying near your feet. But that night, he didn't go to his bed in the corner. He walked out through the back door flap, padded across the porch, and settled himself right next to the gate. He didn't move, didn't bark, just watched. And then he did again the next night, and the next, for weeks. Every single night, they began to wonder, what was he waiting for? The Parkers had lived in the same house for 20 years. It was a quiet neighborhood tucked into a sleepy Midwestern town, where everyone knew everyone and change came slowly. Sam had been part of the family since he was a puppy. Lisa, the mother, had picked him out as a surprise for her husband David when their daughter Ellie turned 6. The dog and the little girl grew up side by side, learning, playing, and sleeping near each other as the years passed like falling leaves. When Ellie left for college, Sam paced the hallway for days. When she came home on weekends, his whole body lit up with joy. They had a bond that went beyond words. David used to joke, "You were her first best friend, and probably her last." By the time Ellie moved back after graduation, Sam had slowed down. He didn't chase tennis balls anymore. He didn't leap into the pond like he used to. But his eyes, those warm, watchful eyes, never left her. He followed her around the house like a shadow. If she was reading on the porch, Sam was at her feet. If she sat by the window, he rested his head in her lap. Then, 3 months ago, Ellie stopped coming outside. She had been sick. At first, they thought it was the flu, but the pain worsened. Tests were run. Words were spoken that never leave you once they're heard. Leukemia, a fast-moving kind, aggressive, cruel. She spent most of her final days in the back bedroom, the curtains drawn, her body tired but her spirit unbroken. Sam stayed outside her door, lying against the frame, ears up. He never whimpered, never made a sound. He just waited. When Ellie passed, the silence in the house felt too big to bear. Lisa cried quietly into dish towels. David wandered the house without purpose. And Sam, he stood at the backyard door and waited until someone let him out. Then he walked to the gate and sat. At first, Lisa thought it was coincidence. "He misses her," she said. But by the second week, she wasn't so sure. Every night at exactly 8:15, Sam would get up from wherever he was, walk slowly to the back door, and sit outside by the gate. Not facing the yard, not lying down, just sitting upright, facing the gravel path that led down to the woods. They tried to distract him, new treats, new toys. They even walked him around the neighborhood. But nothing worked. "He's waiting for something," David said one evening, his voice cracking. Or someone, Lisa whispered. They set up a small security camera to see if animals were triggering him. Raccoons, maybe. A fox. A wandering deer. But the footage showed nothing. Just Sam, sitting silently, watching. Every once in a while, he would lift his head slightly, like he heard something far off. His ears would twitch. His eyes would squint. Then he'd settle again. On the 40th night, it rained so hard the gutters overflowed. Lisa thought, surely he'll stay inside tonight. But at 8:15, Sam walked out into the storm, sat at the gate, and waited. It was Ellie's birthday. Lisa had forgotten, until she saw the date on her phone, and suddenly couldn't breathe. She dropped the dish she was washing. It shattered in the sink. When she ran to the window, Sam was already out there, soaked, unmoving, just waiting. The next morning, Lisa sat down beside him on the porch with a cup of tea. Sam turned slightly and rested his head on her knee. "I miss her too," she whispered, stroking his ears. That afternoon, Lisa pulled a box down from the closet, photos, journals, old letters. And at the bottom, a worn shoebox with Ellie's name on it. Inside was a letter. To Sam. She unfolded it with shaking hands. "Dear Sam, if you're reading this, it means I'm not coming back. But I need you to know something. I always knew you'd wait for me. You always did. Even when I left for school, You were there when I came back. I never said it enough, but you were my first best friend. And you made me feel safe, even when the world didn't. If you're still waiting at the gate, I hope it means you still believe I'll come home. And maybe I will. Not the way you expect. But maybe one day, you'll look up and feel me there. Right next to you. Like old times. I love you, Sam. I always will. Wait for me a little longer. Love, Ellie. Lisa sat on the porch, holding the letter in one hand and Sam's paw in the other. She cried for the first time in weeks. Not just tears of grief, but of gratitude. Because now she understood. Sam wasn't confused. He wasn't lost. He was doing what he always did. He was waiting for his girl. From that day on, Lisa and David joined him at the gate each night. Sometimes they sat in silence. Other times, Lisa would read aloud from Ellie's old journals. Sam would lean into her, eyes half closed, tail thumping softly against the wood. And at 8:15, as always, he'd sit tall and proud, watching. One night, just as the sky turned lavender and the wind stirred the leaves, Sam lifted his head sharply. His ears perked. Then slowly, gently, he laid down and didn't get up again. They've buried him beneath the old oak tree near the gate, the place he had waited so faithfully for so many nights. They carved a stone. He waited with love. He watched with hope. He left with peace. And every evening, even now, Lisa and David step outside. They sit by the gate, sometimes in silence, sometimes in tears, and sometimes they swear they can hear soft paws behind them, settling in the grass, still waiting. Sometimes the greatest love doesn't come in words or gifts, but in patience, in presence, in quiet devotion that never asks for anything in return. Sam never barked, never demanded. He just waited, because some hearts never let go, even when the world tells them to. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to our channel for more true stories of love, loyalty, and the dogs who teach us what it means to never give up on the ones we love.